Hare Krishna, welcome to the special Transcendental Thursday. After a week, we are meeting again of the grand consecration ceremony of Ram Lalla at Ayodhya, where the whole world was immersed in Rama consciousness. So today, in this special evening on Transcendental Thursday, we're going to discuss about who is dear to God, who is dear to Krishna. Few verses from the Gita we'll ponder upon, and the purport what Prabhupada mentions, we'll discuss about those important points, and then we conclude. Before we start, we seek the blessings of Guru and Krishna before we proceed. Here we go. Join me with folded hands and close your eyes. Repeat after me. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshtarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Who is dear to Krishna? Devotees are dear to Krishna. Among devotees, who is dear most to Krishna? Who is a devotee who makes Krishna very happy? This is the question which comes to our mind when we heard this topic, right? But more than the questions which I asked now, I'll be pondering over Krishna's own words, where he said, this trait of a devotee, this quality of a devotee, this characteristic of a devotee is very dear to me. That character which a devotee possesses, that devotee is dear to me. In fact, the dear chapter of Krishna, where Krishna mentions in every other verse, the shortest chapter, the 12th chapter, which has only 20 verses, where Krishna describes lucidly, graphically, elaborately about the traits and characteristics and qualities of a person who's dear to him, very dear to him, very, very dear to him. Yes, 12th chapter. From 12th chapter, 16th verse to 20th verse, probably I will discuss 3 to 4 verses where he describes those qualities which attracts the attention of Krishna, which in his own words says he is very dear. The first verse is from the 12th chapter, 16th verse, where Krishna says, my devotee is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pains, not striving some results, is very dear to me. In the purport, Prabhupada speaks about struggle. A devotee will not put himself into harsh condition just to externally endeavor for money. But if it is required for the pleasure of the lordships, for his services, he'll go through it. But he'll not be affected by the hardships and not getting the results for what he's doing it. Second thing Prabhupada mentions in the purport is about purity. Purity externally. Externally, he says he takes bath at least twice. This is very imperative aspect. People in general these days are very comfortable not taking bath. These winter season, people hate to go under the water. Even it is hot water or warm water, they just hate to take shower. But this taking shower is an element of cleansing ourselves, which brings us into Sattva Guna, which is very imperative for maintaining the consciousness in general in Sattva Guna. So a devotee makes sure, especially those who are engaged in deity worship, make sure they take bath morning and evening, and even if they have to go to washroom, they'll cleanse themselves before taking up this service. In this way, they cleanse themselves. And for internally, devotees chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, read the scriptures, and that will keep them internally clean, and externally, the art of taking part. And here Prabhupada particularly mentions about, he's not worried about where he stays, what is his place of residence. For his personal sake, he can stay underneath a tree. Just like the Goswamis, every day they would stay underneath a tree. and not more than 2 or 3 days they would prefer a tree to be under its shelter, because they feel that they might get attached to that tree. That's why they wander around each and every tree in Vrajamandala and propagate the Krishna consciousness age, compile the literatures on the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even Swami Prabhupada, we was having the privilege of staying in the most spiritually surcharged environment of Vrindavan. He was in Radha Dadamar temple. Bhaktivedanta Swami, revered spiritual master, Bhaktivedanta Swami, author of Back to God magazine, author of Srimad Bhagavatam. Life was going comfortable, but for the sake of spreading the mission of the Lord, for following the orders of his spiritual master, especially to take this message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the English-speaking world, he took the hardships of moving out of India, traversing the sea, being in the Western world, harsh climate, poverty street, with the hippies, the most obnoxious neighborhood. Devotees are like that. And such devotee who takes all kinds of such risk to spread this message of Krishna consciousness, the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, that is the highest of all. Of course, we actually told this at the end of my session, but this invariably comes in the beginning itself. Nacha priyakritamaha tasmat manusheshu. Anyone who takes this risk of spreading this message of mine is extremely dear to me. There is no person more dear than him. The 18th chapter, in the final words, Krishna tells this aspect. In the purport, Prabhupada further writes, he never takes strides. He doesn't endorse a party. He doesn't endorse an organization. He is aloof from all these things. The pure devotee does not endeavor anything which is against devotional service, devotional principles. He is adhering to the principles of devotional character, devotional principles. Anything which is contrary to that, he will not be doing that. These traits of a devotee is appreciated by Krishna, and he loves such traits in a devotee's life. And further, in the 17th verse, Krishna goes on to say, one who neither rejoices nor grieves, kushi bhi nahi hai, gam bhi nahi hai, neither laments nor desires. So lamentation is very significant part of conditioned soul's life. When he loses something which is very dear to him, it is painful for him. That state of consciousness is called lamentation. A devotee who is dear to Krishna doesn't lament, and neither he desires. Now, of course, he desires which is desirable for the Lord's service, but for his gratification, for his personal self, he hardly desires. Neither he laments. And he neither rejoices when something is wonderfully achieved. For Krishna's sake, he'll rejoice. For something for himself, he doesn't care. Or something is not favorably done, or is not expected results are attained. He doesn't grieve for the outcome which is not in his favor. Who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things. Difficult, no? Krishna says, such a devotee is very dear to me. In the purports, Prabhupada elaborates a lot of things. A pure devotee is neither happy nor distressed over material gain and loss, because he knows this. Sometimes we may gain, sometimes we may lose. That is the nature of this material world. Not that every time we'll get what we desire, what we wanted, even in the service of the Lord, even for the pleasure of the Lord. Especially those who go out for fundraising, the transcendental begging. It's not expected that every time when we meet a prospective donor or a well-wisher, he will be favorably disposed. He might even not even talk to us, or may welcome us with flowers and garland. So a beggar has no choice. So a devotee who is rightly situated according to these words is not affected by the artificial fame and infame given to him. He is not elated when there is a anticipated result is gotten by him, or neither is unexpected surprise is there. He is not affected by it. He is not elated when it is in favorable condition. He is not distressed when it is not in his favorable condition. If he loses anything which is dear to him, Prabhupada, right? This is very important for all of us. Now, one of the lamentation part is there are many things in life which is very dear to us. Maybe a phone, maybe a pen, maybe a person who we are in a relationship with. When there's a, especially you youngsters who are into this, when there's a separation, when there's a breakup, there's a pain, there's an agony, there's a grief. And when we don't get the marks what we expected, the results accordingly, the promotions, or anything in which the Gen Zs are going through. But here is an example. He's not disturbed by that. He's not lamenting. It's a very important thing for us because he knows this. All these things has a purpose in life, apparently, but it does not per se help us in our long term in terms of our spiritual consciousness. It doesn't mean that you should not endeavor or work for all these things, but when it is not in your perspective or it's not the way you expected, you should not be lamenting for it. That's why that's equanimity. That Brahmani Sthita person is himself very joyful. Looking at the devotee joyful, the Lord is joyful. Otherwise, all of us, when we don't get what we wanted, we are in distress condition, we are grief frustration, we so much so that people quit. People commit suicide. That's the most dangerous and abominable sinful activity somebody can do it. And all these things are stemming from the most important fundamental misunderstanding that apun sharira. All these challenges, lacunas, which is haunting the Gen Zs or the current generation, or even any generation for that matter, was identifying themselves with the body, is this understanding that apun body hai. We are not the body. We are spirit soul. Krishna elaborately in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita itself, when Krishna is asked by Arjuna that how will I kill them? They are my kinsmen, they are my grandparents, they are my relatives, and they are my spiritual master. What will happen to the women folk when they are killed? Unwanted population will observe, religion will not be followed. He is worried about the ancestors' offering. All these reasons are valid, but it's all stemming from the fundamental understanding of the bodily platform of life or bodily concept of life. Hence, Krishna, immediately after hearing all the arguments by Krishna, why Arjuna, why he is not ready to fight, Krishna starts speaking about soul. Apparently, there's no body के बारे में बोल रहा है, relationship के बारे में बोल रहा है, क्यों नहीं लड़ना वो बोल रहा है, but Krishna immediately starts speaking about Atma. You're not the body, you're spirit soul, and gives reasons, evidences, proofs, historical significances, analogies, examples, allegories to make Arjuna understand that he's not the body. Through Arjuna, he's telling the whole world, you're not the body. So all these things which I have discussed here, say for example, the auspicious, inauspicious things, neither rejoices graves, neither laments or desires, are stemming from the understanding of an individual that he is the body. And all these traits are of the bodily concept of life. But upon body nahi hai, spirit, soul. Just imagine the quantum of happiness and bliss you will go through. That's why such kind of person, such kind of a devotee who practices this principle which is given in the Bhagavad Gita, according to Krishna, is very dear to him, is very dear. Such devotees is very dear to me, Krishna says in his own words. Okay. Now he's prepared to take all kinds of risk for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. All you folks know, you got this Krishna consciousness blessing. Somebody gave you a pass. Somebody invited you for yoga for happiness. Somebody gave you a book. Somebody invited for a folk event. Once you come in touch with Krishna consciousness, your life got transformed. There's a joy, there's a bliss, there's a happiness in your life. Now, once we gotten this special benediction, in other words, which is called as Brahmanda Brahmite Kono Bhagyavan Jiva, Bhagyavan. The living entities are wandering in different species of life, in different universes. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking us, Kono Bhagyavan Jiva, who is the most fortunate person? Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Vilcha. One who gets the seed of devotional service. He is the most fortunate person. All of us who are hearing this class or discourse or chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra is connected with iskcon or Hare Krishna Hare Krishna movement, chanting Hare Krishna mantra, having prasadam, understanding that I am not the body, I am spirit soul, or I am Atma, I am part and parcel of Krishna. Bhakti Lata Bija is this. And simultaneously nurturing this seed, treasuring this seed, watering this seed, manuring this seeds, unweeding. He's the most fortunate person. Now it's our responsibility. The onus lies on us. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Bharata Bhumila Janma Hoila Yara Janma Karu Sartak Karo Parapakar. Having gotten this rare human birth, especially in Bharatavarsha, make this human birth special, privileged, fortunate by spreading this message of Krishna consciousness. And that's what Krishna wants it. That's why he tells this at the fag end of Bhagavad Gita, repeating it once again. Anyone who takes this message of mine, the world at large, taking all kinds of risk, the same word here, he takes all kinds of risk for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. And satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, Krishna tells, anyone who does this spreading of my message is very dear to me. So devotees takes all kinds of risk. And that devotee who takes this kinds of risk is very, very dear to Krishna. And Krishna in his own words says, there is no person who is dear than him for him. Nothing is impediment in the discharge of devotional service. Such a devotee is very dear to Krishna. For example, chanting 16 rounds is a fundamental aspect of Krishna consciousness. That's the crux of happiness. That's a bottom line of pleasure and bliss. And a devotee, all of us, we are at our college hostel, we are at our homes, we are in difficult situation. We have to go to college, come back in the evening, go to tuitions or work for the company, sleep late night, wake up early, hardships, hardly any weekends. But irrespective of all these challenges, if we put the endeavor to chant 16 rounds, that's what, nothing is an impediment. There are a lot of impediments, a lot of obstacles, but that is not an impediment for a devotee to execute his committed rounds of chanting 4 rounds, 8 rounds, 12 rounds, or 16 rounds, or coming to temple, or even paying for the trip, even coming for the events. Doesn't care about all these impediments. He just wants to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And for such a personality, Krishna says that devotee is dear to me. There is no person more dear than. This is in the 18th verse of the 12th chapter. I'll go to the 19th verse. The 18th and 19th verse is yet to come now. Okay, he says in the translation, what is equal to friends and enemies? Equal to friends, understandable. But equal to enemies also? Difficult. Who is equipoised in honor and dishonor. Somebody honors us, respects us, Prabhu, Hare Krishna. But somebody dishonors us, calls us names. To be equipoised at that point of time, difficult. But Krishna says somebody can do that. Heat and cold. Now it's cold, we're chilled. We need warm clothes. Heat, we profusely sweat. Doesn't affect him. In a sense, of course, he'll sweat, he'll wear warm clothes. If it is sweating, if there's a facility to cool himself, he'll go to the atmosphere where it is a little cooler. Or he'll consume food which will make him cooler or warmer. But that doesn't affect his endeavors to practice and please Guru's instructions. Further, happiness is equal in happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who's always free from contaminating association. This is most important aspect for all folks here. Free from all contaminating association. What contaminating association? Anything which is not connected with Krishna. Anyone who is not connected with Krishna consciousness, associating with him or her or it is contaminated. So much so that even associating with them who are not connected with Prabhupada, who doesn't have Prabhupada in their heart, is also contaminating in that sense to a certain extent. So we have to be extremely careful. And what we consume, because we're all fond of these gadgets, and throughout the day we consume a lot of information. This age of digital age, social media, internet, artificial intelligence, the information is being bombarded. And anything and everything which is not as any iota of relation with Krishna, we should not consume. And even if there is you should be aware about what's happening in the world, that information has to be filtered the consciousness of Krishna. Hence, reading Srila Prabhupada books every day will help us to give that lens to see through the Shastra Chakshu of Swami. Clear point. So hence, it's imperative for us to avoid those contamination through the filter of Shastras. Hence, we need to read and hear Prabhupada's every day without fail, apart from childish words. Then, he's always silent, satisfied with anything, who does not care for any residence, whether he's in a comfortable palatial temple, or he's in a depleted house, or he's in a discomfortable situation. He's not affected by the exteriors. He's not affected by the externals. Who is fixed in knowledge. Why? He's always hearing his spiritual master and no one else. And I was engaged in devotional service, consistently, 24/7, not a moment of time is wasted. Such a person, Krishna is telling, is very dear to me. Prabhupada is devotees always free from bad association. Bad association means anything which takes you away from Krishna is bad association. In the human studies, normal, especially these days of celebrities or influencers, people get popular instantly, and next moment that they are unpopular. Fame instantly. Genius these days, whether it's a politician or a cricket, especially cricket these days. One day you hit a century, next day you go for a golden dab. People lift you up and put you down. Even politicians for that matter, even government for that matter. But this devotee who's absorbed in Krishna consciousness doesn't get affected by the so-called. He's not after numbers, he's not after followers, but he's after living grow in Krishna. For them, he's ready to take all kind of name and fame in stride for the pleasure of Krishna. Yeah. Silent doesn't mean that, God make ever. Silent means he will not speak anything other than Krishna. Anything other than subject matter related to Krishna. That is his consciousness. And nor does he care for any residential facility, as I say. Because speaking nonsense is a very intrinsic part of our life these days. Whatever we hear, whether on social media, or news, or TV channels, or people that are everyone wants to speak something out there, and which has no iota of connection with Krishna. In other words, prachalpa. So this is going to eat our valuable human form of life. It's like a toads who quack, who croak, inviting death. Snakes come and dull the frog. So unnecessary talking will decrease the duration of life. So we have to speak. We use this power of speech in glorifying Krishna. So all folks, what we should do is, we should use our tongue and ability to speak and vibrate in glorifying the Lord, in preaching the message of the Lord. That will make us really happy. And if other person says, without good qualification, one cannot become a pure devotee. No qualification which Krishna is mentioning here. And without any of this qualification, one cannot become a pure devotee. And without becoming a pure devotee, one cannot go back home. Who do we attain all these qualities?
seems to be very good qualification, how do you appeal all these qualities? Prabhupada, I mentioned in the Prabhupada that harava abhaktasya kuto mahakuda. If somebody is a non-devotee means who's not chanting or doesn't have symptoms of a devotee, these two qualities will never exist. On the contrary, if somebody is a devotee of Krishna, if not today, very soon, all these qualities will automatically start manifesting in this. He doesn't have to artificially put a checklist whether I'm affected by fame, affected by infame, whether I'm equipoised in honor and dishonor, whether I'm equipoised or I'm in equality in the hot and cold season. He doesn't have to check all this with his personality. These qualities will naturally start manifesting in his consciousness. That is the beauty of devotional service. All the qualities of a devatas, suragana, will naturally sprout, emerge, get displayed, presented in the body, in the consciousness of a devotee. Hence, such devotees are very, very dear to Krishna. And finally, in the 20th verse of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service, Krishna uses the word imperishable path. Bhakti is something which cannot be perished. Bhakti is imperishable. And who completely engages themselves in faith, completely, not part-time. Making me the supreme goal is very, very dear to me. Of course, not everyone can do that. That's why Krishna in the 12th chapter itself, in the beginning, he says, the best thing is to do this. Give up everything, engage completely in devotional service. Sarvadharman paritajya, manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Completely engrossed 24/7 with mind, intelligence and body in the service of the Lord. Not everyone can do that. Few fortunate, privileged and blessed, they have this privilege. Okay. But somebody can't do that. Yes, definitely not everyone can do it. But they can do the regulated devotional service and develop a desire to attain Krishna. Gradually, regulated devotional principles one can. Somebody even can't do that. Then Krishna says, mat karma karan, do my work. Like devotees are engaged in devotional service like that. Regulatedly, they are doing devotional service. You help them. Dharma samsthapanartha has to happen. Krishna says in the Gita, you help to assist this dharma samsthapanartha in the form of artha, money, diya, vacha, whatever way possible. Now, somebody can't actually directly get involved also like this. At least, next level Krishna says, if you can't do that, detach yourself from the results of your activities. The fruits what you get by doing your activity, that you get detached from, that you offer it to some. You cannot offer it to Krishna, you cannot offer it to organization which is involved in spreading the message of the Lord. At least do philanthropic activities, do charity. Because if you're attached to something, and if you give away that, there's a lot of relief. Because the attachment controls your life. Just like all of us, hardly 3-4 months, India lost the prestigious, very special World Cup 2023. 10 matches they won. Those who are following, they know the heartbreak. But when they lost the match, their hearts were shattered. Maybe all the cricketers who were involved, for them to come back to life or come back to the normal that we have lost, it took months. Correct? Now those who are not attached to cricket, those who are not watching cricket, whether India wins the match, doesn't win the match, loses the match or performs very badly, is not affected. On the contrary, somebody is a die-hard fan of Indian cricket team, follows Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma, the captain of the Indian cricket team,
anything happens to them in person or in professional affects them. Every ball, 6-4 out, excites them. But somebody is not affected, is not involved in that, doesn't affect them. So attachment is like that. So that's a, at least you, whatever you do, give away. And somebody can't do that, at least do some meditation. So there's so many organization who comes with so many types of meditation. At least they're trying to control the inhaling and exhaling. At least they know that they are breathing. Most of us don't know if you're breathing. Consciously they breathe. Some oxygen goes in, they feel better. At least something to kar rahe hai. Krishna says that you can do that also. And further he says, if you can't do this, at least practice cultivation of knowledge. So if these are the different things, but Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita very clearly says, anyone who spreads this message of mine is very, very dear to Krishna. So I implore all of you, request all of you that we should work strenuously, hard, so that we can spread this message of Krishna consciousness to whomever possible, and that will attract the attention of Krishna. That's what Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj says. And Prabhupada quotes him saying that my Guru Maharaj used to say, only a dead man cannot preach. Anyone who has got life will preach. So I implore all the folks hearing this, please, wherever you are, in whatever condition you are, then take up something by which you can spread this message of the Lord. So that will attract the attention of Krishna, and Krishna will look upon to you, and that will make our life successful by making ourselves dear to Krishna. To make ourselves dear to Krishna, we have to become dear to Prabhupada. To become dear to Prabhupada, we have to chant 16, follow 4, and vigorously spread the message of the Lord. Thank you so much for patiently hearing me this. Hopefully all of us will become dear to Krishna with the blessings of Srila Prabhupada. Thank you. Hare Krishna.